Я дуже вам вдячна, що ви знайшли час прийти. Для глядачів сьогоднішній співрозмовник – це вже символ, якоюсь мірою людина, що має в Україні зараз ореол гуру в діалозі. Стейнер Брін та Горан Лоянчіч – це люди, які внесли з 2014 року великий вклад до розвитку діалогу руху в Україні. Коли ми вас запитували, як вас представити на загал, ви сказали, що просто ви незалежний фасилітатор діалогів. Але ми знаємо, що за цей час ви отримали премію «Миру» як хранитель миру і за роботу в Україну в тому числі, в Україні в тому числі. Для нас ви ще й людина з Балкан, яка має свій особистий досвід роботи в війну і після війни. Ну і для початку скажіть, будь ласка, кілька слів про себе. Розкажіть, яким чином саме ви опинились от в цьому діалоговому русі? Яким чином склалась ваша доля та ваше життя, що ви стали фасилітатором діалогів?
Ina, thank you for your very generous introduction. Too generous, I might say. And thank you for this opportunity because, you know, I have a mixed feelings about my years in Ukraine. I feel like I left some unfinished business, and also due to a COVID and some things that happened even before this disastrous Russian aggression on Ukraine. But and then also all these developments afterwards were not going in a favor of dialogue. But I have to say that I'm very proud and satisfied of the work we did, and I have a lot of very nice memories, especially about the people that I worked with, and I also have a deep amazement for the plethora of dialogue initiatives in Ukraine, and it is important. There are some things that I will say that may not be very appropriate to say at this point in time in history. But I went through the war myself, and 25 years ago or something like that. And there are some things that I've learned hard way. That war, in many aspects, made me who I am today. We speak very often afterwards, the theorists and analysts and different types of social scientists. We are talking too much about how we enter the war, but we don't talk that much about how we exit the war. What happens when it ends on a psychological level, on the individual level. And I've realized that that there are some options that require strong feelings, because the war is probably the greatest social trauma of all. And these feelings are legitimate, and they are very normal. But whatever feelings you have afterwards, they will stay with you for the rest of your life. So what feelings you will choose is an individual decision for people to make. And my decision at that time was to, when the war ended for me and I moved to a role of the refugee, my decision was to try to figure it out, why and how it happened, what effect it made on my life, on my personal beliefs, on the things I cherish as a human being, and then to spend the rest of my days trying to tell people trying to tell people about my experiences and formulated and shaped in a form of some kind of a method. So this is where I came from. I didn't come from some research institute of social sciences. I was forged in a war. Whatever little knowledge I have is based on experience, on working with people, on talking to people, observing what is going on. And God knows that if you look around, the dialogue is everywhere. You just need to find it, to see it. And once you learn how to see it, it's very easy to see it. So this is where I'm coming from. All these things, names, roles, accolades, all this kind of stuff, they all come as a testament of others of who you really are. But when I think about myself, I think only about my work. I think only about this dialogue component, about sitting with people and talking and learning from them and trying to give them something mine. And that's how I define myself, basically.
Дуже дякую за такий початок і таку розмову. Я теж достатньо давно почала займатися миротворчістю, діалогом, хоча в більшості я є медіатором. І я розумію, що саме у цьому процесі миробудування воно так дійсно буває, що воно здається незакінченим. Цей процес, який ми починаємо, він здається іноді незакінченим. Тому я дуже добре розумію, про що ви говорите, коли ви сказали, що є таке відчуття незавершеності. Але воно, можу сказати, знаходячись всередині цих процесів після 24 лютого, що цей процес продовжується. Безумовно, в інших формах. Безумовно, деякі процеси зупинились. І зупинились таким болем. Але хотілося б, зараз, говорячи з вами, хотілося б поговорити, перш за все, про те, яким чином, починаючи з 2014 року, яким чином ви долучились до тих процесів, які були в Україні, саме в Україні. Тому що в 2014 році, на мій погляд, теж почалась ця війна, яка зараз продовжується в інших формах. Але при цьому були можливості більшого спілкування, хоча рівень напруги був теж дуже великий. І я почала в 2014 році працювати в Одесі з діалогами, і я влітку 2014 року зустрілась з Миколаєм Борисовим, який був один із моїх вчителів з медіації, і почула тоді від нього, що він продовжує працювати в напряму медіації, але вже з соціальними конфліктами. І я довго його умовляла, щоб він приїхав на конференцію в грудні 2014 року, в таку першу міжнародну конференцію з діалогу і медіації, в якої виступали люди, які починали щось працювати з діалогами. І тоді ми всі почули про цю таку ініціативу «Донбаський діалог». І мені здається, що саме в 2014 році ми вперше почули про цей «Донбаський діалог», в якому, Горан, наскільки я знаю, ви допомагали Борисову в деякий час. І самого Борисова зараз немає. Дійсно, влітку він і в 2014 році він не дуже вірив в те, що в Україні ці діалоги, вони займуть якесь таке місце, да, серед різних соціальних інновацій. Він тоді в це ще не дуже вірив, але продовжував працювати з Донбаським діалогом. І здається, що ця платформа, вона стала для багатьох людей в Україні таким майданчиком для відпрацювання діалогів. Скажіть, будь ласка, питання в мене таке. Розкажіть, будь ласка, про те, яким чином ви були залучені в цей процес, саме Донбаський діалог. Яким чином ви працювали? Як ви це побачили? Як ви бачили цю трансформацію? Якщо можна, більш там детально про цю платформу.
Okay, I can speak about Donbas Dialogue from two different perspectives. The one is about the method itself, as I've seen it, my perception of the method. And also I can speak about my involvement and our discussions, mine and Nikolai's discussions about how I can be used. Obviously, when it comes to the first subject, the members of the Nikolai's team, because one of the members actually made us in contact, and they can tell you in detail how it really worked. And when I trained his facilitators, our trainings were usually attached to the Donbas Dialogue conferences. So I was there for these conferences for 3 days, for 3 additional days, watching how it worked. And the setup. It is basically the online dialogue form done through different tools, internet tools, but also surrounded with lectures and presentations of different aspects of Ukrainian identity and history and in general conflict resolution basis and all this kind of stuff. And honestly, for me, dialogue is a personal thing, and I never really understood the importance of this online way to do it, because I believe that there are a lot of things that you can see, especially when you train, but also when you facilitate. There are things that you can see only in when the person is around, okay? But to my amazement, it worked. Donbas Dialogue really worked. And I'm talking now, leave alone these lectures. I mean, lectures are like lectures. You have, professionals who are educated in their field, and they give lectures, and that's it. But what was fascinating for me was this online dialogue that Nikolai's facilitators were facilitating. It was a special thing. I understand that Nikolai did it at first out of necessity, because his main task with the Donbas Dialogue was actually to create some kind of a dialogue space over the division line between the government-controlled territories of Ukraine and those 2 breakaway provinces in Donbas. But it was his genius and the ability of his team to provide him with necessary tools, especially Valera's and his knowledge in this internet service protocols, that made Donbas Dialogue its own right for this from a methodological point of view. It became independent method that worked, and it was fascinating to watch it, really, because of course these dialogues are individual mainly. It's very difficult to organize it through the groups. It was tête-à-tête dialogue. It was one participant on one side, one participant on the other side, and the facilitator. And I've seen a lot of Ukrainian facilitators doing it, and it was fast. They struggled. I have to, it's difficult. That I understand. But last time I was in Svyatogorsk. I saw Nikolai doing it. I saw Nikolai himself doing it because he did it to show to his participants how it is to be done. Nikolai, he did it. He didn't say it. He just did it. It was his mild and quiet way to prove the point, and it was really I understand that there are some security issues why it won't be shared in public, but I really would like to have a recording of this session to see how the real master in this field are actually doing this with a minimum intervention, but with the proper and timed intervention, and how he actually changed. In particular, one woman who was a participant, she came very strong, with very strong feelings. And the way he turned her into a constructive phase, it was just amazing. I mean, I was I don't know what to tell you about Nikolai. We had some great time, and I really at one side I'm so sad that he died. He gave life to many, not only directly as a parent, but also as a teacher. But on the other hand, I'm happy that he's not here to see what is going on with his beloved country, and I have these mixed feelings about him. But it was the working with him. I'm sorry, I'm taking it a little bit personal, but I have to say this: Nikolai is. It was fun working with him. He used to make all these pranks, and the way he did it every time in order to improve the quality of the service. And I remember he would. We had this little game that we were playing. He would intervene in my training seminars without even telling me that he will do it, and then he would want to see how I will react to his little pranks, and I would always make a reaction so that I will send him a message. Okay, I know what you're doing, but we are going into this direction. And he always understood it. It was some kind of a chess game that we were playing, but a chess game that has a benefit for the participants. And to work with him was just a fascinating experience. He was such a great man, and if I had some fortune and luck in my life, it is that I met several great people, and Nikolai is certainly among them. So it did work with all these shortcomings and struggles for participants, but what was created out of necessity actually became independent method that can be used with the certain limits. Because what Nikolai understood is that online dialogue cannot be supplement for the offline dialogue. Those are two different things. It's not, it's either or. It's not okay. I'm not going to travel. This is more comfortable for me. I'm sitting in my living room, surrounded by my books and my papers and everything, and I can do the same thing. You can't. this is a completely different setting. This is a completely different type of work. But once you understand it, you can take out a lot of benefits, because unfortunately for us, we live in a world that is divided in so many different ways, on so many different places, that not all of these places are accessible for everyone. So we have to make some kind of adjustments, and he did that adjustment fine. He was perfect. But as I said, I could only see a real potential of that work when I saw him facilitating, because he has this knowledge, this particular knowledge that not many people have. So the second part of this relationship I had with Donbas Dialogue is the training program that Nikolai assigned me to do for his participants. And for me, my Ukrainian adventure started in December 2015. We met, actually. It was the big OSCE conference in Kyiv. And I remember you because you had probably the most important contribution to that. The things that you've said, I really liked, and I came to you and I said, I really like what you said. I had to, because this is I think it's important to do that sometimes. And I was fascinated with a number of different ideas, proposals, initiatives, actions that people are giving. Because when we started, Steiner, Bryn, and myself, dialogue was not in the picture at all. I mean, mediation was a big thing in 90s. So everybody was talking about, mediation, but dialogue, to think that dialogue can be used as a reconciliation tool and a conflict resolution tool was out of the box thinking. And if you want me to later, I can explain why I think it was so extraordinary and unusual, and why dialogue facilitation brings something else, something new, that or let's say different. But when he approached me and he told me this idea that he wants me to train his people, I told him that Nansen dialogue that was the basis of my dialogue experience is actually intervention method. It's not a training method. So it's not that easy to train people in that. If you ask Steiner, he would tell you that it's impossible. That dialogue can only be trained through mentorship programs, not through the group activities. And but he insisted, and I liked him, and I trusted Nikolai. I trusted his intelligence, and I realized that I had to take this challenge to see if it's possible. So what I basically did. Don't tell this to my participant, but I basically invented this training. It was once in a lifetime training that never happened before, and probably will never happen again. The whole idea behind it is that because I'm fully aware of the difficulty to provide individual training in a group setting, because it's technically difficult. So when I thought about how am I going to construct it, I said to myself, okay, it has to be done in a way so that I have to spend some time trying to figure out what are the strengths of my participants, but also, I wouldn't say weaknesses, but things that they could work a little bit more on. And then try to organize a setting where they can use their strength in order to address these challenges that they have. Of course, these challenges are different, because you know this probably better than I do, that there are not even two not even similar, let alone identical dialogue facilitators. It's impossible, because being a learning method, dialogue facilitation involves a lot of development, both personal and group development, and how you develop is based on your character, your experience, your intelligence, your abilities, and of course we all develop in a different ways. So my main task was to train these people so that they will not look like me, but they will look like themselves. You know what I'm trying to say? And so the first one, the first part was actually, I showed them the method and all these things, how it is done, what are the critical exercises, blah, blah, this kind of stuff. But then I used this to think about them, to try to figure out what they are missing and how they can improve their own personal development. And then I came back home. I put all these things in a paper, and then I've tried to create some completely new exercises that will address directly those issues. Like issues, for example, who are the difficult participants, or how do you work in your own environment, in your own cultural environment, which is the most difficult thing, or how not to be detached from the work you're doing. What is your personal involvement, and all these kind of things that I've noticed in the participants. And it was fun. We didn't finish it, unfortunately, because before we came to an end, the COVID struck, and then we had to stop for COVID, and afterwards it's out of the question now. But it was just, I enjoyed it really, and these people and this atmosphere there, it was so powerful, and it was so beautiful, and I just cannot. I try not to think about what it is going through right now, because for me it was like a fairy tale place, and with this Sviatogorsk Lavra and these caves, and I use these caves to make some kind of I took my participants through these caves. We walked through the caves, and have you been there inside? Have you been inside the caves?
Yeah, була.
And so you know the drill. You know the drill.
була.
People holding these candles in their hands, and depending on the light of the person next to you, the person in front of you, and then you have the guy with the torch on the beginning, and you go through the dark, through uncomfortable places. You go up, and then when you come up, you come out in the sunshine on the big on the top of the mountain, and I used it as to give a picture of a dialogue seminar to participants. I told them this is how it is going to look like for you. You're going to rely very much on the light of the people who's next to you, but on a person who knows where he's going, but you will overcome. But when you come at the top, this is the most dangerous place for you, because you would believe, when you're at the top, you would believe that you accomplished something great. But then you would realize that you have to go down and then do it all over again with another group.
Дуже символічно це виглядає. Да. Я на це так не дивилась раніше. Дуже дякую за такі гарні, і я навіть не знаю, як це краще сказати, глибокі слова про цей процес, про Миколая. Я теж з вами згодна, що навіть, можливо, добре, що він не бачить, що зараз відбувається в країні, і що зараз відбувається саме з Донбасом. Але мені здається, що те, що тоді ми всі почали, і Донбаський діалог, і ми ті, хто були в цьому процесі чи працювали окремо, ми зараз теж продовжуємо працювати в Україні. І це теж важливо. Мені здається, що це були такі створився такий фундамент для того, щоб ми були більш стійкими, можливо. І це важливо і саме зараз, коли є така гаряча фаза війни, коли ми можемо вибудовувати діалоги всередині країни, і це дуже велика кількість завдань ми маємо зараз. І теж через деякий час, можливо, і потрібно буде, хоча мені здається, що і зараз вже важливо, говорити з тими, починати говорити з тими, чи продовжувати говорити з тими, хто є зараз за межею, за лінією фронту, з росіянами, з тими, хто на окупованих територіях знаходиться. Важливо вже і зараз починати і говорити про і підтримувати ці контакти, і це важливо вже робити зараз. Хоча я розумію, що багато людей навіть в спільноті поки що не готові до того, щоб не готові до того, щоб спілкуватись з тими, хто зараз живе за лінією фронту. І це зрозуміло. І тут, мені здається, теж буде в якоїсь мірі потрібна і ваша допомога, мені здається. Але все ж таки повернемось, хотіли би повернутися, ви дуже багато питань підняли, і так відгукується ваш погляд на навчання за допомогою фасилітації і про індивідуальне нарощування власних компетенцій, можливостей у кожної людини. Ви сказали, що ви там це поклали на бумагу. Якщо у вас є який, було б дуже цікаво про це поговорити, якось обмінятись думками про це.
Okay, first of all, we have designed a method that doesn't necessarily is connected only to one particular setting. So it is important to keep if something is not possible to do at this very moment, there are certain things that are possible to do. So it is important to keep the dialogue fire and try to improve your skills and try to improve your experience in every aspect where you can work without putting yourself in too big of a danger. Because when you the problem when you facilitate in your own environment, especially in these circumstances, there are two types of the problems. One problem is, of course, social type of the problems, which is the peer pressure, the pressure of your community. How can you be neutral? How can you talk to the other side? Look what they are doing to us, and then you will be, sometimes it happened to me that sometimes you will be treated as some kind of a special type of the traitor, by talking to an enemy and all this kind of stuff. And the second danger is even more destructive, and it's a psychological thing. It's you have a strong feelings about something, and then you ask yourself, how can I be neutral about this? This is not right. This is not normal. I should, I should have a different standing. And so these are these two things that the dialogue facilitator needs to be protected from. That's why sometimes it's easier for the outsider to open the shop But those who are buying and selling has to be local facilitators. I think that the moment when Ukrainian facilitators are going to be able to do the things on their own in their own environment without foreigners, that would be it. That would be the sign that that the situation is going much better. Because I've seen a lot of Western facilitators in my time in the region, and they just for the same reason that you cannot have two similar dialogue facilitators, comes in my opinion, that you cannot make utterly successful dialogue facilitation unless it was done by the people who are fully enrooted into this particular culture, because they know things that they have experienced things that you possibly couldn't know. I'm amazed with the quantity of the dialogue initiatives in Ukraine, because as I told you, when we started, there was no dialogue everywhere. So we didn't even have books to rely upon. When I started to create the first method, I had to read Plato. I went back 25 centuries to try to figure out how dialogue can be used as a reconciliation and conflict resolution. We didn't have books. Now we have a lot of different activities, and we have a lot of people thinking and working on dialogue, which is great. And the dialogue should be, in that sense, open for every possible interpretation. But I am also a bit worried, because when something is too many things, it usually ends up being none of those things. And I would like to see, less but more focused. I mean, you've been there in December 2015. You've heard the same thing that I heard. And there were some crazy ideas about what the dialogue is. And as I said, I liked it, but not all of them are functional. But there is one thing that I want to say. Maybe I shouldn't, but I always say what I think, whether people, like it or not. If there is a heavy rain outside on my window, and you ask me if the sun is shining, my instinct would be to say no. But I would be wrong, because sun is shining all the time. It is just that at this particular moment, it is not shining for me. And the reason why it is not shining for me is because I am under the shadow of the clouds. Okay. But so the sun stays, clouds come and go. As long as you understand that this shadow that you are sitting or standing under is not your own shadow, but it is the shadow of the clouds, you're okay. You will wait, and the sun will come back to you. But the moment you believe that it is your shadow, that it is a shadow of your heart and a shadow of your brain, the sun will never come again. Because it will not be at all important whether it was shining or not, because it would be then your shadow. We know that war ends. Every war ends. And I don't understand this part of a human dynamics. I don't understand how it is even possible to start them, but we know that they start, and we know that they end. What are we going to do after they end is the decision that we can make, and that decision is partly connected to this shadow that I was talking about. I said at the beginning, the war takes everything from a person, everything, except that one thing, that choice how you are going to exit one, with what kind of feelings. Do you exit it with hatred, resentment, frustration, or you exit it with your head held high, with some new knowledge that you want to use in order to help other people in the future? Whatever decision you make, and both decisions are absolutely legitimate and are absolutely normal, but whatever decision you make, it will define your life for the rest of your days. That I know. That I know. After 25 years, I think I have enough years behind to say that it is true. So so that would be my very long response to your question. Do what is possible. Do this initiative to make it easy for some people that you can. There are a lot of underlying issues that needs dialogue. Not only this cross-border or cross-front thing, and we should use this in order to in order to help people, but also practice our skills and develop as dialogue facilitators. Because dialogue facilitation is a strange thing, because dialogue is not a conflict resolution tool. It's not a reconciliation tool. It's a learning method. But by being the learning method, what is important about it and why it can be successful in reconciliation models is that it works on basis of the added values. If you want me, if we have time, I can explain in detail what I think and how I came out with this idea. But the very first definition of dialogue that Plato wrote said that dialogue is a tool that helps you come closer to the truth. What that simple definition implies, if we disregard the Plato's ontology, there is a reason why he wrote that, but let's just forget it and concentrate on the wording. Because what this simple sentence implies is that dialogue is for people who are fully aware that they don't have a full, complete, and definite truth about the subject they are thinking. So they have to come closer to it, because if they have it, it will already be there. They wouldn't need to come closer to it, but they are aware they don't have it. And if we don't have it, if we don't have the definite truth, there are also two implications of that. The one is that how can we claim that we are right? If we don't have a full truth, how can we claim that we are right? Maybe some new truth will come that will undermine our position, And the second thing is, where do you turn to get more, to know more? You either turn to yourself, to your own, let me just present it like this. You either turn to yourself, to your own cognitive abilities, to your own experience, you use your senses, or you go to other people who might know something that you don't. But it's not actually two ways. It's a perpetuum mobile thing, because when you go to other people to learn more, you increase your experience, you increase your knowledge, you increase your cognitive capacity to ask for even better questions. And if we both do that at the same time, you and me, through our discussion, we can both grow up and increase our understanding. And through a better understanding, we can get to the better point. Somebody says all these things are credited to Einstein. Einstein would be very surprised to know that he said that he said those things, because he probably never did. But there is a sentence that says, if you want to solve the problem you have to be to a different place than where you were when you created the problem. You see? Because if you are in the same place, you wouldn't end up in a problem in the first place. So you wouldn't have a need to solve it. Okay? So you have to move. You have to change. You have to increase your understanding in order to get to the better position, to a more superior position. And if we do it together, we may come up with something that is completely different to what it was. That created the problem. And it is a chance for dialogue. That's why dialogue can be so successful, because it works with added values. You don't have to give up on anything. You just invent new things. But you do it together.
Ви знаєте, дуже цікавий такий погляд, хоча хотілося би, не можу не сказати свою точку зору на це питання. Іноді, і це теж з мого досвіду, люди в діалогові процеси входили достатньо впевнені в тому, в своїй точці зору, в своєму погляді, і більш того, іноді вони приходили для того, щоб роз'яснити іншим про свою точку зору. Але в процесі оцієї там розмови, цього діалогового процесу, у них з'являвся сумнів. Це якась нульова точка, про яку ви кажете. Да? Ви кажете, що люди можуть зайти в діалог, коли в них є розуміння, що вони не все знають. Іноді у нас це є результатом діалогового процесу. І тому ми якраз починаємо працювати у цих гострих фазах конфлікту. Так, ми починали в 2014 році, коли вже почалась війна і коли оці суспільна напруга була достатньо високою. І я зараз теж працюю в одному діалоговому процесі, де є і росіяни, і люди, які живуть на Донбасі, те, що називалося ОРДЛО. Да? І я про це говорю, це в мене був процес, він почався ще до 22-го року, але і зараз продовжую. І тому мені здається, що це може бути і трохи раніше і з іншими підходами. Це мій досвід. І ще, що хотіла би сказати, теж коментар до ваших слів. Дякую за те, що ви так глибоко підіймаєте ці питання. Це важливо і дає таку страву, піщу для ума. Щодо питання нейтральності. Дійсно, я розумію, наскільки важко нам було в 22-му році переробити і перерефлексувати, зробити таку ревізію нашої позиції як діалоговика чи медіатора. Да? Тому що ця війна з 22-го року, вона зробила виклик. У нас з'явились ті почуття, до яких ми не звикли. І вони дійсно давали цей виклик для нас, як для людей, з миротворчою, миробудівницькою позицією. Да? Але мені здалось, і я на цьому зараз в нашій спільноті про це говорю, що оце питання нейтральності, це скоріш, що ми не є нейтральними, але у нас інша позиція в цих розломах, в цих конфліктах. Вона є третьою позицією, вона є діалоговою позицією. Вона проміж оціми двома крайностями може полягати. Да? І тому ми є активною навіть стороною. Да? Ми злучаємо людей, ми там вовлікаємо їх в ті процеси, які нам здають, і вони є там перспективними, важливими, починати розмовляти. Да? Тому це таке не досить, взагалі це не нейтральність, мені здається. вона може бути, можливо, равноудаленной по отношению к другим. Ось, і з цими, коли ми зараз працюємо з конфліктами ідентичності, коли ми зараз працюємо з конфліктами соціальними, ми це більше починаємо розуміти. Да? А все ж таки в мене є питання. Скажіть, будь ласка, як ви, повертаючись до Донбаського діалогу, як ви відчували, ви почали працювати з 15-го, до 19-го, до 20-го року, яким чином ви відчували динаміку серед тих людей, там, молодих, нових фасилітаторів, тому що, мені здається, в більшості це були нові люди для фасилітації, да? Яким чином ви відчували цю динаміку розвитку? Як люди, в чому вони розвивались? Чи бачили ви це? Яким чином? Що це був за процес? І якими вони, вийшли?
You opened, so many interesting questions. And before I go to these participants, I will just make two short comments about the effect of a dialogue work in the circumstances like they are now in Ukraine, and also about the neutrality and what neutrality stands for. First of all, we have to understand that dialogue is not a magic tool. It doesn't solve everything. We decided to use dialogue because it works in a specific area of human engagement, which is the useful and productive communication. We believe that if you share and if you communicate in a better way, it is a good source to erase the divisions in public. So if you ask me, I remember when the war in Kosovo started, we have been already present for like a year and a half or so. And Steiner's younger daughter was very young at that time. She was a kid. And she, when the war started, they were watching it on television. And she turned to Steiner and she said, "Dad, are you what we are calling a loser?" This is how the kid saw it. And it was haunting Steiner for years. This sentence, because he felt like he betrayed these people. But we have to be aware of the forces we have and what kind of forces we are fighting against. That's why I said I have a mixed feelings about about my work in Ukraine. I felt that I gave my best, and that is what makes me sleep at night. I did what I could, but of course it was not enough because I'm a one man and I can only do these things. But well, the point is, it's not that important. The point is that you do your best, and that's it. Whatever comes out of it, that sometimes it's beyond your control, because there are other powerful players in the field, and some of them are far more powerful than we are. So. It's just we're not in a position to make all the necessary changes in the world in a short period of time. When it comes to neutrality, I called it once a mandatory illusion. It's the active, intelligent person cannot be neutral at all. It is impossible. But it can actually understand, and this is what neutrality is. Neutrality is the ability to recognize, understand, and contain your bias. Okay, because you are not neutral, but you understand why some things are making certain impact on you. If you understand why it is happening, then you can take it out from the dialogue traffic, because you know that it is yours. It's not it's not coming from the. Of course, you will hear things that you don't want to hear. That's the whole point of a dialogue session. As Ina said, people will come in their own position. Of course they are. They always say, you know, people don't want to talk. Oh, yes, they do. My experience is that they do want to talk, except what they don't want is to listen what they don't want to hear. But they do want to talk. They want to say, this is what you did to me. This is how you made my life miserable. All this kind of stuff. It is on Dialogue Facilitator to create a setting,
Yes.
so that everybody can express their own thoughts and their own feelings. And if everybody can do it, of course, when everybody talks in the room, everybody also listens. You know, it's impossible actually to unless you put the earplugs. It is impossible not to listen. So if you create a proper setting so that everybody can express freely, and you organize it in a way, there are techniques to do it, there are exercises, and you know that. Then you will give enough time for everybody to express themselves, and then whatever their motive was, whatever their position was at the beginning, they will engage in interaction because that's what humans do. That's what humans do, and they want to do it. But when it comes to oh, they were good. This young Ukrainian, some of them not that young, they were really very good. Some of them are probably better facilitators than I am. But it's going to be difficult for them for some time. And I've read some of the things that some of them wrote on Facebook after February 2022 that didn't really sound like dialogue very much, but I understand that it is you know, it's sometimes it's difficult to contain. You have a very strong emotion, you have a very strong sense of justice, you have a very strong sense of what is right or wrong, and sometimes you can forget that that as a dialogue facilitator you need to be what there is a Persian poet for 13th century. It's called Rumi. It was called Rumi. He wrote once, there is a garden beyond the right and wrong. I will meet you there. This is the place for dialogue facilitators, that garden. And it is difficult sometimes. It is especially difficult in difficult times, but it has to be done. We speak for all these peoples who are hurt, and we speak for all of them. You may call that neutrality if you like, but that's what it is.
А скажіть, будь ласка, все ж таки, окрім Донбаського діалогу, з ким ви ще в Україні працювали з 2014 року? Ну, з якими, можливо, що ви робили? От навчали Донбаський діалог, там приймали участь. З ким ви ще працювали, і, можливо, це ще для чого? Щоб, можливо, не знаю, чи можливо порівняти оці процеси розвитку діалогового процесу в Україні і на Балканах, ну, наприклад?
Well, obviously you can compare everything, but I don't think that it is a useful comparison. Yes and no. That is my answer. When it comes to Ukrainian, yes, I work with several different organizations. I worked with Inženjeri Porozumenia, Karl and Elena, and I worked with Dermot Hamilton and his team, and I worked with PCI, and I worked for UNDP. I don't know, but I worked for several different groups of people. But for me, I didn't even really investigate too much their organizational dialogue efforts, because for me, dialogue is about people. It's about people I met. My cat, this is the tail of my cat. Because Gasha, say hello. Say hello.
Wow, nice.
Okay. But you're not needed.
Да, звично.
And those and the people I worked with, they really were so motivated, and they really wanted to make it best. That it is for me. I will always refrain from making any kind of comments about their efficiency, because in my book they. I said at the beginning that the difference is that there's now so many dialogue initiatives, while in Balkans we were practically the first and only one for many years. There is a sense of fashion in a peace building, that you take a word and then you take everything out of that word for 20 or 30 years, and then you move to another word. A lot of so-called dialogue activities in Ukraine, some of the projects I've seen, they looked like somebody took the word mediation out and put the word dialogue in. You know what I'm trying to say? No? It was practically the same thing, just called in a different way. Mediation is a huge thing. It's a marvelous technique. It is for thousands of years old, and it brought a lot, especially to the legal processes throughout the entire world. And I really do like it, and I appreciate every good mediator. But it's a different technique. Dialogue is something completely different, and they both exist on their own right. And so I cannot say really that in Balkans in 90s we had a full awareness of the dialogue potential. It is now, Ukraine is in a sense fortunate enough to live in a time when dialogue grew to be understood. When we started to do it, nobody really understand what we are doing. One politician literally asked Steiner, so you want me to give you money so that you can go with your friends from different ethnic groups and have a coffee? That's how he understood what dialogue is. This is so funny, but slowly we made a push, and some of the things that we developed in the 90s are actually I've recognized in Ukraine. Probably Steiner was there many times in Kharkiv and in some other places, and he's very. It's not that difficult to remember what he has to say. Let me put it that way. He's very powerful. He's very charismatic, and all this kind of stuff. So I asked Nikolai once why he have chosen us, because he could have chosen anyone else, and he gave me a very long answer that I didn't really fully understand. Okay, he was talking about some old Soviet teachers and pedagogists who have this certain ideas, and he saw something like that. But I think that what he wanted to gain from Nansen dialogue is this freedom of dialogue expression that we understood is very important from the very beginning. My task was to create for him 30 independent dialogue facilitators people who would go, because you know that, Ina, probably better than most of the people in the world. The senior dialogue facilitator or senior mediator is the loneliest person in the world, you know. And when you sometimes when you stand in front of the difficult group and you look behind you and there is nothing else but a brick wall, you know, there's no one else. It is you are the last instance, you are the last station, and you know that if the train goes through you, it will crash. So you have to stop it there. There's no one else, you know. So that's why I insist with my trainees, with my people, on this character development. I can give you some examples. I will, but okay, but I will not give you names. Okay, you have to understand this. But this is one perfect example, and I'm talking about the guy who is very famous in dialogue facilitation in Ukraine these days, and he's just marvelous. He's a nice kid, and he's a marvelous person, and he's a very good, excellent facilitator. But so I gave them some kind of, I'm sorry, I'm going to take some 5 minutes from you with this story. I gave them some exercise, and I divided them into small teams, and I asked them to create and perform a dialogue exercise. You know, because there are websites where you can take all these thousands and thousands of exercises, but if you show me that you can create one, then I know that you know what we are talking about. And his group, the group of that particular guy, it was 3 of them. There was a lady whose main strength was her empathy. She's one of the most sympathetic person that I've ever seen. She really could read people's heart, and she was so nice and beautiful and great in that regard. And another guy is the guy who was who's technically wise, extremely precise. He would know everything about the method, about the technology, and all these kind of things. He was not very powerful in facilitating, but he knows his work. You know, he was very strict. And there is this third guy who already has the name in Ukraine as a facilitator, and he's very good, and he's the leader of the team. Of course, what he did, he had chosen one of mine exercises that I told them not to do it because the most difficult exercises, dialogue exercises, are those who look simple. Because if you are in a difficult position in dialogue seminar, you don't need complicated exercise because you cannot then follow all the developments in it. You need it to be very simple, task-oriented, simple exercise so that you can concentrate on what is the substance. And I told him this, but he wanted to check himself, so he wanted to do what I did. And he thought he would improve this exercise. He made it a little bit complicated, and he failed big time. It backfired to him. His participants were so angry. They started to shout at him. They started to complain, and the exercise was on the brink of destruction so much that some of the people standing next to me wanted me to stop it. But then I said no, because I knew that he is going to take it out. I knew that he is going to make it happen. You know, because he's very strong. He was red in the face, you know, like a rose, but he made it. He did it. He came to the end of the exercise nevertheless, because he's so powerful. And then I asked him afterwards why it didn't work. you know, so he started to tell me some of this dialogue facilitation fairy tales and stories, theories. And I said, no, just stop that. I don't want to listen to that. Just tell me as a person, honestly, why do you think it didn't work? Because, and he understood it immediately. Is that big? Because what was the problem with that particular facilitator? He was excellent in every possible regard of this work, but he facilitated like an astral projection. You know, he was there and he was not there. He didn't engage himself in this work. He was acting dialogue facilitation instead of doing it. And then, of course, as I said at the beginning, if you are the last station on that rail, you cannot let that train pass through you because it will crash. You have to stop it there. But sometimes it's not easy. It is difficult. People are difficult. They can do things that you cannot control. They can say things that, and you never know what they're going to say. You have to repair it and all this kind of stuff. And there is no one to turn to except to yourself. You know, so if you want to be a good and successful dialogue facilitator, you have to be in. You have to develop same as you ask your participants to develop. You have to be present, and because you will need this strength of character at the end of the day to help you through the rainy moments. And he understood it in that simple exchange that we had that day. And I'm happy to see him now working and having his website and all this kind of stuff, because he obviously learned his lesson. And he's such a nice guy. He's such a nice person. He has so many good characteristics, possibilities that he can use actually in his dialogue facilitation. I'm so happy for him. But we had like dozens of moments like that in this training we did.
Супер. Я хотіла б, безумовно, слухаючи вас, ну, по-перше, для мене це дуже наснажлива така і дуже глибока розмова. Хотіла б, безумовно, спитати, що от вас будуть слухати зараз, ну, перш за все, ті люди, які у вас навчались, які слухали ваші тренінги чи розповіді про діалоги, тому що я знаю, що ви в різний спосіб розмовляли, говорили про діалоги. І я розумію, що одна із, мабуть, головних місій і Стейнера, і ваша, це про те, щоб люди, ну, тримали на увазі оці принципи і, ну, діалог в собі. Ви дуже гарно наснажуєте. І тому хотіла би вас спитати, хоча ви дуже багато вже розказали про це, але якщо вас будуть слухати ваші учні, ваші колеги, з якими ви працювали в Україні, що б ви зараз, от в цьому 24-му році, могли би побажати і що б сказати от тим, хто з вами знайом, хто з вами працював, хто у вас навчався?
Yeah, that's okay. You caught me on this one. Because this is it is difficult. I would say that there are not many things that I would say today that I didn't already say to them. But I understand that they are now on a difficult spot, and that they may feel a little bit under the impression of the events that are going on around them, that they wasted their time trying to improve their dialogue facilitation skills. But if that's the case with any of them, I would encourage them to think again and to try to understand that what they contributed, those days we spent together, was very great. It changed my life considerably. It should change theirs as well. And that everything they learned and they've shared, they can use today, and they can certainly use tomorrow. Because as my favorite philosopher Scarlett O'Hara said with the Gone with the Wind, tomorrow is another day. Tomorrow is another day. And they have to keep their strength, and in particular to trust to themselves, and trust even more to the people that they're working with.
Дуже дякую. Дякую за підтримку, таку багаторічну підтримку нас в такому складному нашому шляху. Ось, і я чомусь сподіваюсь, що ми ще можемо зустрітись в Україні і поговорити про ці складні, але дуже важливі теми, яким чином побудовувати діалог, яким чином людей можна залучати до нього, і щоб кожен із нас міг робити, як ви влучно сказали, робити те, що маєш робити, і створювати оцей простір людяності. Дякую дуже вам.
Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for inviting me. I really would like, and I will work toward it, to meet you again in Ukraine.
Ми це зробимо. Будемо намагатись робити, якщо, сподіваюся, що це буде не так. Багато часу пройде. Дякую дуже.
Okay, I'll trust your judgment. Thank you.